Welcome to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green, where you'll discover actionable strategies to help your student to reach their academic goals, to excel at standardized testing, and to plan for the college admissions process painlessly. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Green.
Hello, everybody. Steve Green, the Success Doctor with the Make the Grade podcast. Today, problem solved. What was the problem? What was the solution? Let's get into it. A problem I am hearing a lot of parents express, and let's put this in context. It is late June 2020. Most of schools in the world, maybe even all of them, pretty much got shut down in March. The last 3 months of school were atypical. They were aberrations. Everyone was on home learning instead of just people who go to school. You know, you have homeschoolers who are home learning. Anyway, everybody's in home learning. Teachers were scrambling to produce content. Some did a great job, some didn't. So what was the problem? Problem was that parents are concerned that their students, number one, didn't necessarily learn all the content and curriculum they were supposed to learn. So maybe the class was supposed to cover 6 units. They only got to 5. Okay. Second concern was that the instruction wasn't as strong as it might have been. And even though they covered material, their child or children may not really have mastered it and fully understand it. This is a conversation I'm having with a lot of parents right now. It's summer. Typically in the summer, there's a number of academic things you can do. If you've listened to recent podcasts, you know I'm running a 60-day academic challenge over the summer to encourage students to stay engaged with their academics and this. But two of the most common things that students can do over the summer are remediate their academics. In other words, go back, review, plug gaps, get stronger on things that maybe you weren't as strong with. And number 2 is to accelerate. So maybe you are in a regular track, you want to go into an honors track, or you are you want to skip a class, you want to jump ahead a whole level. Well, a lot of these things got derailed a little bit because of the gap between where the expectation would have been that a class would have ended up in June versus the reality of where it looks like it ended up in June. That's the problem. Parents are concerned. My plan this summer, Steve, was to have my kid try to level up, get into honors math or honors science. Unfortunately, what would have been a 15 or 20-hour project to teach and learn all that material maybe has now swelled to a 30 to 35, maybe 40-hour project because there's more that has to be covered, more foundational work that has to be reviewed to make it happen. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? No. I still believe, and I encourage parents, I encourage students for sure, to go for it. There's nothing to lose. Worst case scenario is that you're right back where you began, and maybe you plug some gaps in what you need help with anyway. There's no downside to doing this, aside from investing the time and getting into it. So what's the solution? Problem, solution. Solution is to have a plan. I'll say it again. The solution is to have a plan. I sat down, or technically online, with the parents and the student. I said, okay, it is June whatever. We have until August whatever to deal with this. We need to do this. We have 8 weeks. We have so many topics to do. We're going to do this many a week. This is my job, is to teach you this, to help you this, guide you with this, coach you, etc. Your job is to stay up with this, be consistent, put the work in so that you're ready for the next lesson. It's essentially the same as creating a syllabus for a course, except the only person going to be using the syllabus is that individual student who is participating in this process. At the end, there's going to be some sort of assessment. Either they're going to have to take a test that the school administers. Often that is the final that the class took the year before, or something like that. I can administer a lot of tests along the way to make sure that we're meeting benchmarks and doing what we need to do. But ultimately, this builds up. This is a all or nothing exercise typically. A lot of cases, you got to get an 80 or an 85 or a 90 even on this summary test. But the solution is to have a plan, to have a timeline, to commit to it, and to work towards it. Now, guess what? I could probably say that about anything that we're trying to address academically. This is a specific case study. But I could have applied this to almost everything I've done with students in the last 24 years. We look at where we are, we do an assessment. Based on the assessment and the timeline and the goals, we create a plan. Then we go to work and we execute the plan. Yeah. Every year I do this. Every year it works. You know, the only time it doesn't work is when the student doesn't pull their end, doesn't do the work, frankly, gets a little bit lazy. Do you want to do a lot of work in the summer as a student? Probably not. Let's be honest. It's summer. Hot out. You want to go swimming. You want to hang out with your friends. I get it. But this is not a 7-hour-a-day process either. Most of these things are a half hour, an hour a day at the most. You can make time for it if you commit to it and you want to do it. It's very rewarding and gratifying when you make that commitment and you accomplish what you want to accomplish. The reward is getting to where you wanted to get and being at that next level the next year. Now, of course, that creates a more challenging class to be part of, which is fine. That's the whole goal. You're trying to challenge yourself. Yes. So this is a big part of what I do. I can make a case for things like this in the summer, for sure. But it's really much broader than that. It's for everything that's individually going to be worked on with every student throughout the year. Whether it's science, whether it's math, whether it's history, whether it's maximum education stuff, whether it's SAT prep, ACT prep, it's about knowing what your goal is, having a timeline, creating a plan, and executing. This is what we do and what I do at Make the Grade in order to help my students succeed. The Make the Grade podcast, this is all about giving you actions to help you to maximize your education. That's my job. That's my role. That's why I am here. That's why I appreciate you listening. So these are things you can also do a bit on your own. My goal is every time somebody listens to a podcast or a conversation I have with a guest on a podcast is you learn something that you can do right away to maximize your education or your child's education. That's my goal. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit to just take a look at where you're at. Are you or is your child where they needed to be at the end of June, end of the school year, end of May, whenever your school ended? Did they learn what they were supposed to learn? And there's two parts to that question. Did they learn all the material that was presented? And was all the material that was presented what the intended curriculum was supposed to be? So did the class just come up short and not cover what needed to be covered? Will the class in September or August assume that you know the material that may not have been covered? Think about that. On a personal note, it's gratifying to do these kind of things with kids because these are typically motivated students, which every teacher enjoys working with motivated students. They want to get results. I want them to have results. We're on the same team. We are working together to get the same thing to happen. That doesn't mean I don't work with unmotivated students or whatever. It just means that typically this population tends to be a little bit more motivated than, say, your average student. So again, my challenge is take a look at where you're at, students. Take a look at where your kids are, parents. Make sure it's where you want to be. I've already thrown out there my challenge for the summer. 15 to 30 minutes every day on something academic and or physical. Keep your brain sharp, keep your body sharp, take advantage of the weather, get outside, do stuff. Steve Green with the Make the Grade podcast. I am the Success Doctor. My mission is to give you as parents and you as students actions you can do right away to maximize your education. Highest grades you can get, strongest SAT and ACT scores you can get, efficiency of time, increased self-confidence, time management, information management, the whole kitchen sink. I've got some interesting things I'm rolling out in the fall. Just a quick sort of commercial. I'm going to be doing a live virtual event. I'm bringing in a bunch of guest speakers. More on that. I'm going to start what's going to amount to be sort of a TV type show, live streaming. Many of you who follow what I do know I live stream a couple times a week. Topics on education. I am still looking, if you are interested and you're a parent, to have conversations with some parents about their experiences during the COVID shut-in. This is for the podcast. I've had 6 of these discussions. My goal is to have 10. I'll have more, but I'm trying to get at least 4 more parents willing to talk. You can do it anonymously. No names have to be mentioned, but it's such valuable information for everyone. Some of the stories we've gotten even in these 6 conversations have been tremendous. Very personal, very gratifying to hear some of the things people have done, sacrifices they've made, above and beyond efforts that have been done by parents and students. It's great. So I'm enjoying these conversations. The feedback from listeners has been strong. In closing, I appreciate you listening. I'd appreciate it if you would be willing to share this podcast with other people. If you aren't already, please subscribe, and we will take it from there. So Steve Green, the Make the Grade podcast. I am the Success Doctor. I'll get with you next time. Thank you. Take action. Maximize your education.
You've been listening to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. For more resources and support, please visit makethegrade.net.